Hello friends, in this video we are going to start with block diagram reduction rules. Let us begin. So far we have seen only one block was representing the system and its transfer function, it was very easy to calculate by using a Laplace transform. Am I right? So what I meant is, so far, that is in basics of control system, we used to see a single block system. Am I right? A single block system having input as R of S, output as C of S, and let's say transfer function as G of S, where R of S stands for input in Laplace domain, C of S is what we called as output in Laplace domain, and to be very precise, R of S is called as reference input, C of S is known as controlled output, and this G of S is nothing but a transfer function. We know that transfer function G of S is nothing but ratio of Laplace of output upon Laplace of input, that is G of S I can write as C of S upon R of S, or I can say that C of S is always R of S into G of S. So again, this can be seen as a relation between output, input and transfer function, that is output of the block. So I'm naming this system as a block. So output of the block is always input. As you can see, input is R of S multiplied by transfer function. So this is a transfer function. So whatever we have discussed till now, we used to believe that system is a single block. But let's have some reality check. In physical reality, we have many systems or many blocks connected in cascade, connected in parallel, and in that case, it becomes very difficult to find overall transfer function, right? Because if I'm talking about transfer function for this block, it is quite visible that this is G of S, am I right? But then imagine a block diagram where more than one blocks are present together. Fine. They may be connected in cascade way, they may be connected in a parallel fashion, or maybe they are connected as a forward path or a reverse path transfer function. In that way, that is nothing but a feedback connection. So there are many more cases that we are going to see. In that case, a block diagram, if happens to be a complex block diagram, then how to reach the overall transfer function? For that purpose, we have to follow certain rules, and those rules are called as block diagram reduction rules. So before we start with block diagram reduction, first of all, you should understand all the rules, and once you are comfortable with the rules, we can start with the problems. Let us begin with block diagram reduction rules. So look at a very first rule. It says blocks connected in cascade. Sometimes it is referred to as series connection also. So we know that this is block number 1, this is block number 2, and this is block number 3. You know that in every block, whatever is written is called as transfer function. So can I say that this G1 is nothing but a transfer function? Please remember, when I'm writing only G1, it does not mean it is only G1. It is G1 of S, because everything is in Laplace domain now. So G1 is a transfer function of block number 1. G2 is also transfer function, but for block number 2. And G3 is transfer function for block number 3. Now, look at the output of every block. You know that output of every block is nothing but input of the block multiplied by transfer function. I repeat, output of the block is always input of the block multiplied by transfer function of that block. For example, here I can write output of block number 1 as R times G1, because R is input and G1 is transfer function. Please understand, now this whole R into G1 acts as input to block number 2. So I can say that output of block number 2 can be RG1 as an input multiplied by G2 as transfer function. But then even this is acting as input to block number 3. So obviously, by following standard procedure, output of the block is always input of the block multiplied by transfer function. Therefore, now I can say C is equal to what? R G1 G2 as input multiplied by what? G3 as transfer function of block number 3, and this is nothing but overall output. Am I right? Now suppose if I want a overall transfer function, then I have to see the overall ratio of output upon input. Now what does that mean? Let us see. So now consider as if this is only one system having one input and one output here. Am I right? And consider this whole as a black box, and then try to get the ratio of C upon R. So from this expression, if I take C upon R ratio, what do I get? I get G1, G2, G3. Then G1, G2, G3 is called as overall transfer function. This is called as overall transfer function. See, the rule says it is block diagram reduction rules. It means multiple blocks would be converted into single block, right? So here, now I can treat the above system, or I can draw the above system equivalently like this. R as input, transfer function as G1, G2, G3, and output of the system as C. Then I can write C is equal to input into transfer function. What is input? Input is R. Transfer function is G1, G2, G3. So let me name this equation as 2. Let me name this equation as 1. Equation 1 indicates output of the blocks which are connected in series, that is a bigger system, whereas equation number 2 indicates output of the system which is in a reduced form. Please understand. Please understand, we are not practically actually reducing the size of system. Our aim is not that, okay? Our aim is to get the overall transfer function of the system, and to do so we have to reduce the blocks. So when we are reducing the blocks, it does not mean we are reducing hardware or we are reducing the size of the actual physical system. Fine. So here what I can conclude is, whenever blocks are connected in cascade or blocks are connected in series, then the overall transfer function is nothing but the product of individual transfer function. So in fact we write this way: blocks connected in series or you can say cascade also. Whenever I say cascade connection, then cascade connection means output of first block is connected as input to next. In that context it is called as cascade. So if blocks are connected in series, their transfer functions gets multiplied, right? Therefore G1, G2, G3 gets multiplied, then it becomes single transfer function, and then it has become a single block, right? I hope you are clear with a very first rule. Let us go for the second rule. Second rule for blocks connected in parallel. See, when I'm actually reducing the block diagram, what does that mean? Let me make you understand. When you are reducing the block diagram, then you would see that instead of multiple blocks, we can draw only one block. For that, you have to find overall transfer function. But then the rule is, whenever you are reducing the block diagram, effect shouldn't change. What is meant by effect shouldn't change? Output of the system should remain same whenever you are reducing the block diagram. So please remember, whenever I want to reduce the block diagram, I cannot just blindly reduce G2 and G3. I hope my point is clear. So you have to reduce in such a way that even after reduction, you get the same effect as that of the previous, that is before reducing it. So now if I want to reduce this, what I'll do is, what I see, there is a common input R for individual block, that is G1, G2, G3. So for G1, input is R. For G2, input is R. Even for G3, input is R. And we know that for every block, output is nothing but input multiplied by transfer function. Therefore, output of the first block is R times G1. Output of the second block is R times G2. And output of the third block is R times G3, right? Then what we have over here, please try to understand. This symbol indicates as a summing point. As the name implied, the meaning of summing point means to add. It is a point where input gets added. Fine. So all the input gets added here. Therefore, now I can write output C. So C is nothing but output. So the summing point can have multiple inputs and then generally one output. So right now, what output do I see here? That output is equal to RG1 minus RG2. The reason why I'm saying minus, because as you can see, there is a negative sign while addition, right? Plus RG3. So this is the overall output, am I right? So now I can write C equal to, I'll take R common. What remains inside? It is G1 minus G2 plus G3. Or I can say now C by R. C by R means it is nothing but overall transfer function as G1 minus G2 plus G3. Then can I say that this C upon R is called as overall transfer function. Then how can I reduce it? Very simple. Since I have got transfer function, I'll draw only one block. And now I'll write what I got as a complete transfer function inside the block. Because we know that whatever you write inside the block is nothing but transfer function. So it would be G1 minus G2 plus G3 with input as what? R, with output as what? C. Can't you see? This block diagram is reduced to a single block without actually changing the effect. Okay, effect of block diagram number 1, I would say this is whole block diagram number 1, and after reduction block diagram number 2, effect is still same. You can just check. Here you can write output C equal to input is what? R multiplied by transfer function, which is G1 minus G2 plus G3. As you can see, in both the cases you're getting same output. Am I right? Then this is the whole idea of reducing the block diagram. Your blocks may get reduced to a single block, but still preserving the original output. Your original output shouldn't change. Let us see the next rule, that is blocks in feedback. See, generally students have confusion between blocks connected in parallel and blocks connected in feedback because they look quite similar, but by observation you will see they are not similar. Now look at the direction of G. If you see, it is going this way, that is from input to output. And look at H, this is input and this is output. So it is traveling in this direction, that is from output to input. Therefore, this type of transfer function is known as a forward path transfer function. How come this is transfer function? Of course, anything written inside the block is a transfer function. Therefore, H is called as reverse path transfer function. Whereas, we'll go back to rule number 2. You will see how to differentiate between a parallel connection and a feedback connection. Let's go back. Now look at G1 direction. It is going in a forward direction. So I would say G1 is a forward path transfer function. Look at G2. Again, it is in the same direction. Look at G3. It is also traveling in the same direction. And at the end, all of them meet at a common point called as summing point. In this way, it becomes a parallel connection. All the blocks are traveling in the same direction. Look at G1, it is moving from left to right. Look at G2, it is moving from left to right. Look at G3, it is moving from left to right. But now look at this connection. So when you look at G1, it is going from left to right. But when you look at H, it is going from right to left. So both of them are going in opposite direction. Then this is called as what? A feedback. So for feedback connection, again, it could be a positive feedback, it can be negative feedback, depends. Then the overall transfer function, that is C upon R, is G upon 1 minus plus GH. This is nothing but a reduction. Remember, in the denominator, whenever you have negative sign, it means the respective feedback is a positive feedback. And whenever in the denominator there is positive, it means it must belong to negative feedback. In this case, equivalent diagram for this, it is given like this: R, then we have G upon 1 minus plus GH, and then you have C. Then this is what we called as reduction. But then how this reduction has taken place, I'll give you a proof for the same. So before I start with the proof, this R is your input, this C is your output, G is called as forward path transfer function, H is called as reverse path transfer function. So please don't forget those terms. This is called as error signal, that is E. So E stands for error. Fine. And now this is a feedback. It can be positive feedback, it can be negative feedback. So let me assume this is B. Signal B means it is a feedback signal. So once you have understood this terminology, now look at the summing point. This summing point have got two inputs. One is R, the other one is B. So E, if I assume as output, again there is nothing to assume, E is actual output, then I can write E equal to R plus or minus with B. Why plus or minus? Because during positive feedback it will be R plus B, and during negative feedback it will be R minus B. I hope you understood this. Then error equal to R plus minus. Now look at B. Can I say B is output of this H block, and input of this H block is nothing but C, because this is what we call as takeoff point. Okay, this is called as a takeoff point. Generally, takeoff points are used for taking feedback from output. Then, since input of this H block is C and output of this H block is what? B, can you now relate between input transfer function and output? You know that output is equal to input into transfer function. So can I write my B as C multiplied with H? So I can replace B with C multiplied with H. I hope you understood what I mean to say, right? Next, like we have related for a reverse path transfer function, look at a forward path transfer function. I can write like this: C is equal to what? E into G. That is nothing but, again, input multiplied by transfer function is nothing but output. Am I right? So can I write like this? Yes. Then can I write E equal to C upon G? Right? So I have just shifted this E to left hand side. So I would name this as 1. I would name this as 2. So what I'll do is I'll substitute the value of error E in this equation, that is equation number 1. Then what I get? What I get is C upon G equal to R plus minus CH. Am I right? Or I can write this way, that is RG plus minus CGH. So what I've done, I have just transferred my G to right hand side. Now what I'll do is I'll take this to left hand side, then it will be C. Look at this sign, it is plus and minus. Plus for what? You remember, plus for positive feedback, and this negative indicates what? It is for negative feedback. So when you are transferring this term to left hand side, plus will become minus and minus will become plus. Now student says, so what's the big deal? Plus minus or minus plus, it is one and the same thing. No, it is not that way. Fine. So you have to remember this. Why? I'll tell you at the end. So positive becomes negative, negative becomes positive. What we have on left hand side is C times GH, which is equal to what? RG. So I'll take C common. What remains inside? 1 minus plus GH, which is again equal to RG. See, please don't forget your aim. Your aim is to calculate the overall transfer function. And when I say overall transfer function, it is simply output upon input. Don't forget, your C is output and your R is nothing but input. So whenever you are taking this C upon R as a ratio, this is called as a what? Overall transfer function. Then this is equal to G upon 1 minus plus GH. I hope now you got the proof. So now in the denominator, look at a very first sign, which is negative. If you remember, this negative indicates what? It is a positive feedback. And in denominator, if it is plus, it indicates it is for negative feedback. So as I said, this is very, very important. This is what I'm talking about. This is very, very important. Plus indicates positive feedback, minus indicates negative feedback. And you know what? Same when shifted to the left, it became negative and it became positive. The reason why this is negative because of positive feedback. And reason why this is positive, it is because of negative feedback. So please remember this thing. So my aim is just to prove the overall transfer function. Since we got overall transfer function, I can put it inside the block. So overall transfer function is g upon 1 minus plus gh, where input is what? R, and output is what? C. Hence we have proved that this is a overall transfer function. Let's go back. And now look at this. R is nothing but input and C is nothing but output, and we have taken output upon input ratio. So this is the final result I was talking about, and now I have proved the same. So this is the another rule we are going to deal with, that is transfer of takeoff point beyond the block. When I say beyond, it means it is right hand side with respect to block. So I'll tell you where is a block, where is takeoff point, etc. First of all, this is called as block and this is called as takeoff point. So what is required is to transfer this takeoff point where it is beyond the block. That is, you have to transfer this takeoff point beyond the block. So can I say beyond the block? It means you want to shift it to right hand side of the block, right? Then initially it must be to left hand side, and therefore I have drawn this type of diagram. Yes. So what we want is this. After shifting the takeoff point beyond the block, it might look like this. Am I right? So it somehow should look like this. But then the rule says you do whatever modifications in block diagram. The thing is, your output shouldn't get affected. Am I right? Your output shouldn't get affected. Now look at this block diagram. That is a first block diagram. Can you tell me what are outputs? Then I would say there are two outputs. First output is C, the other output is Y. Because Y is also, actually taking connection from here and it is supplying to some other system. So this is also output. So let us note down the both outputs now. C equal to, so input of this block is R, transfer function is what? G. Then C is equal to what? Input into transfer function. Then it is C equal to what? RG. Am I right? So before I performed any transfer, C was R into G. Then what is Y? Y is directly taken from R. I will say Y is simply equal to R. But then after shifting, we have to make sure that both the outputs should give the same value, right? Look at C. Can I say C is still R into G? There is no problem because still R is only input. G is the only transfer function. I haven't changed it, and output of this block is nothing but C. So C equal to R into G. Then there is no problem with C. I'm getting same C as previous. But look at Y. Are you getting Y equal to R? No. Because if you actually shift this takeoff point towards right as it is, then you will get Y is equal to what? You'll get Y equal to RG. Am I right? So this is extra G you're supposed to get. So the question is, should you get Y equal to RG only? Answer is no. As I said, whatever modifications that you do in the block diagram, outputs shouldn't change. Output should remain unaffected. And to do so, the remedy is, I hope you understood what is the problem. What is the problem? Problem is this G. So G is the problem. So what I'll do is, whenever I transfer the takeoff point beyond the block, add extra block. Add extra block having transfer function as 1 upon G. Now we will see what is the effect of this. Please don't forget, this output is nothing but RG. then input is also RG. Then if you look at the output, then you know that for every block input, output is input multiplied by transfer function. What is input? Input is RG. What is transfer function? 1 upon G. Can I say G will get cancelled, and effectively you'll get Y equal to R only. And now can I say problem is solved? So tell me, what was the problem? Problem was this extra G. This extra G was a question mark for us. But yes, we bound to get that G, because if you actually shift this takeoff point as it is to right hand side, then definitely you are taking output from this point. So at this point, what you are getting will not be the same which you were getting earlier here, that is before shifting. So you have to add the extra block so as to keep outputs same. Am I right? Then let me write the final conclusion here. So let me read what I have written. See, while you are shifting takeoff point, okay, while you are shifting this takeoff point to right hand side, and you know that what is meant by right hand side? Right hand side means it is beyond the block. Then you have to add extra block. So you have to add extra block. As you can see, you have added extra block after takeoff point. Yes, after takeoff point, we have added extra block. Having transfer function inverse of the block beyond which you are trying to shift. Now this line is very important. Its transfer function should be inverse of the block beyond which you are trying to shift. So as you could see, beyond this G block we were trying to shift, therefore transfer function of that block, extra added block, is 1 by G. What does that mean? It means this way. For example, let's say you have G1 G2 here, and here it was a takeoff point. So if you are shifting takeoff point to the right, then you have to add extra block having transfer function inverse of the block beyond which you are trying to shift, which is 1 upon G1 G2. I hope you understood this. So this theory means this way you should handle whenever you are shifting takeoff point to the right, you have to go this way, right? Let's move ahead with the next rule. Transfer of takeoff point behind the block. Behind means to the left hand side, and since we are planning to shift it to left hand side, so before that it is present here. Am I right? So the plan is to shift this over here. Am I right? So after shifting, it will look like this. It is R, then we have G block here, then we have C as output, and now you know what, Y is shifted somewhere here. Am I right? So as I said, you do any type of alteration, you reduce the block, you do whatever you want, but make sure that outputs remains unaffected in every case. So before shifting, what was the output? Output was simply R into G, and as you can see, Y is supplied from the same, so Y is also equal to R into G. Am I right? So this was before shifting. Let us see what is the after effect, that is after shifting. Here C is remaining unaffected because R is input, G is transfer function, C is equal to RG. There is absolutely no problem with C. We are happy with C. But let us see, are you happy with Y? Here Y is directly taken from R, then it would be simply R. Then can you see that G is missing? So here the problem is what is missing? G is missing. Am I right? So to have that extra G, again you have to add extra block. That's the only solution. So what we do is we add extra block as G, and if we do so, as you can see, now input is R, transfer function is G, then output will be equal to what? R into G. Then Y will be equal to R into G. Now I would say problem is solved. So problem gets solved only when you add extra block having transfer function same as that of the block behind which you are trying to shift. As you can see, since you were shifting with respect to which block? G. Then we add G. Suppose if transfer function of this block was G1 G2, then we would have added G1 G2 here. I hope you understood this. So now you can write the rule. Whenever you are trying to shift takeoff point behind the block, you have to add extra block after takeoff point having transfer function same as that of the block behind which you are trying to shift. I hope you got the statement. Let's move ahead with the next problem, or in fact next rule. Transfer of summing point beyond the block. Let us see. So what we are planning is to shift this summing point beyond the block, right? But as I said, whatever modifications you do, whatever alterations you do, output should remain same. So that is R look after. So R is input, X is input, therefore input of this block is R plus X, and this G is a transfer function. C, it's simply input into transfer function. What is input? Input is R plus X. What is transfer function? It is G. I would say C is equal to RG plus XG. Am I right? And after transfer, let us see, the diagram will look like this. So since I have shifted my summing point to right, therefore you cannot see summing point here. Now you must see your summing point here. This is output C, and you know what, this input was X, right? Let us see, if I do shift as it is, then whether my output remains same or not. We'll see. By observation you must have figured out that output will not be same. So here input is RG, the next input over here is X, then C is equal to RG plus X. So what is the problem? Problem is that what is missing here? G is missing in this term. So G is missing. So to make that G visible, again you have to add extra block having transfer function as what? G. So let us add extra block at the input of summing point having transfer function as G. Now we will see what is going to happen. You know what? The input of this block was X, transfer function is G, then input is what? XG, and of course the job of summing point to add these two, then output will become RG plus XG, which is again same as this. Am I right? So what you can note down, I'll tell you what is the property or what is the rule. Whenever you are shifting summing point to right or summing point beyond the block, then you have to add extra block, because this G is nothing but extra block. Where to add extra block? Then you have to say you have to add extra block at the input of summing point. As you can see, you are adding it at the input of summing point having transfer function same as that of the block beyond which you are trying to shift. Since you are trying to shift with respect to what? G, then it will be G only. For example, if the problem is like this, R, this is the summing point, this is input X. Let's say the transfer function was G1 G2 upon, let's say, G5, and output is C. Then if you are shifting this takeoff point to the right, then it will be like this according to the rule. Okay, now summing point will not be there because summing point is shifted to the right side. Let us rub this. So it will be like this. R is input, G1 G2 upon G5, then you have summing point, then you have C. Now at the input of summing point, extra block will be added, that is having transfer function same as the block beyond which you are trying to shift. So the block transfer function I'm going to copy here, G1 G2 upon G5. And what was the input of this? So this way it works. So this is nothing but how you do transferring of summing point beyond the block, right? So this is exactly the inverse law now we are talking about. So it won't take so much time to now explain. So we have to shift this summing point behind the block, okay, or before the block, or to left hand side of the block. It is one and the same thing. So before I do any shifting, let me see what was the output. Here output is only C. So here input of this summing point will be r into g, that is nothing but input into transfer function, and output of c or the value of c is rg plus x. Am I right? So if I shift summing point blindly, it will somehow look like this. And input of this was x. So look at the output of the summing point, it will be r plus x naturally, and output of this block diagram, then c will be equal to what? It is r plus x multiplied with g, or I would say c is equal to rg plus xg. Then as you can see, you are getting this g as extra term. So you want this g or you don't want this g? Of course we don't want this g, am I right? So to compensate that g, I'll add a transfer function as 1 upon g. See, now it is going to solve my problem. How? We will see. So input is not x now, input is x by g. Am I right? Therefore, I'll get input over here. I mean input to this block will be r plus x by g, and this whole gets multiplied with g, and that is your output. And now your output is equal to what? Rg plus x by g multiplied by g. Here gg gets cancelled. As you can see, you're getting rg plus x as output, which is again same as this one. Am I right? Then what property says? It is very simple. Rule says that whenever you are shifting summing point behind the block, you have to add extra block. As you can see, this is extra block. So you have to add extra block having transfer function inverse of the block behind which you are trying to shift. So since you are trying to shift behind g, you have to add 1 upon g. If you are trying to shift behind g5, then you have to add 1 upon g5 as extra block. If you are trying to shift behind g1 g2, then you have to add 1 upon g1 g2, and so on. So you have to add inverse of the block behind which you are trying to shift. So we have a last law here called as a associative law, also called as exchanging summing point position. So we'll see. So whenever rule says you have such summing points connected in a cascade way, that is output of summing point 1 is connected as input of summing point number 2. So this S1 and S2 indicate summing point 1 and summing point 2. Then by rule, you can exchange their positions. So we'll see after exchanging the position how it will look like. It will look like this. R1 is input, but instead of summing point 1, summing point 2 will come. Instead of summing point 1, summing point 2 has come, but instead of summing point 2 now, I'll draw summing point 1 here. Output is C. Please remember, whenever you are shifting a summing point, you have to shift it along with its input. I repeat, whenever you are shifting or whenever you are changing the position of summing point, you have to change it along with its original input. So the original input of S2 was R3 with negative sign. So I'll put R3 with negative sign here, and original input of summing point 1 was R2 with positive sign here. So I did the same, and let us see, still my output remains same, because the only condition is your output should remain changed irrespective whatever changes you are doing, irrespective how much reduction you have done. So here, even though the reduction is not taking place, we are just exchanging the positions of summing point, but still you are altering the system, and whenever you are altering the system, it shouldn't go opposite to the rule, that is output should remain same. So let us see what output you're supposed to get here. So first input is R1, the other input is R2 with positive sign. Of course, here output is R1 plus R2. Then for summing point S2, one of the input is R1 plus R2, other input is R3 with negative sign. I would say C is equal to R1 plus R2 minus R3. So this is happening in case number 1. Now we will see what happens in case number 2. First input is R1. The other input is R3 with negative sign. Therefore, output of this summing point is R1 minus R3. So R1 minus R3 acts as input for summing point S1 with the other input as R2 with positive sign. I would say C is equal to R1 minus R3 plus R2. If you refer 1 and 2, they are exactly same. Come on, 5 plus 2 minus 3. Can I say it is equal to 5 minus 3 plus 2? It is one and the same thing, right? Associative law is applicable whenever you are summing something, right? Therefore, this is applicable. But please remember, there shouldn't be anything in between. I mean, if there is some block in between two summing points, then you cannot change their positions. Their positions can be changed only when there is nothing. I repeat, there is nothing present between summing point 1 and summing point 2. I hope you have understood all the laws. And since now you have understood all the laws, you have to see what is the procedure to be followed for a block diagram reduction. Because if you understand this procedure, then you can solve the problem in a conventional way. So you have to understand in a conventional way also. And again, from gate point of view, I'll give you shortcuts, okay? I'll give you shortcuts how to solve the block diagram reduction problem in 2 minutes. Because if you follow a traditional approach, every block diagram reduction will take practically 10 minutes. And you cannot afford 10 minutes for a single question. So from gate point of view, of course, I'm going to make you understand how to solve the problem quickly, that is within 2 minutes. So irrespective how big the block diagram is given, I'll give you simple tricks to get the transfer function quickly. Then is it really important to understand the conventional approach? Yes, because you appear not only for GATE but also you may appear for other competitive exams like IES, where you have to actually understand this conventional approach also, right? Because you got subjective paper there, so you have to write the paper the way you used to write for universities. So let's understand this procedure. Step number 1 says reduce blocks connected in cascade. You know that cascade means we are talking about series blocks. So I'll make it simple. Reduce blocks connected in series. Step number 2, reduce blocks connected in parallel. Step number 3, reduce simple feedbacks. What is meant by simple feedback? See, this is called a simple feedback. This is called a simple feedback, where G is nothing but a forward path transfer function and H is nothing but a reverse path transfer function. Please remember this. So this is called a simple feedback, and we know that how to reduce simple feedback. For this, answer is G upon 1 minus plus GH. This is nothing but a reduced version for this whole diagram, am I right? So you have to reduce such simple feedbacks. Step number 4, now try to understand. If required, okay, only if required, try to shift takeoff point towards right and summing point towards left. You know what? So far, whatever we have learned, we have understood what needs to be done if you want to shift takeoff point towards right also and takeoff point towards left also. Please understand, you can shift takeoff point to right also and left also. You can shift summing point to left also and right also. But preferably, see what I have written in step 4. If required, try to shift takeoff point towards right and summing point towards left. Okay, this has to be left. Let me just correct it. Why it is so? Very simple. Understand their purposes. What is the job of summing point? Your answer must be to add inputs. Okay, fine. If you want to add inputs, where inputs reside, to the left or to the right of the system, you consider any system, right? We generally draw our inputs to the left and outputs to the right. So where you draw your inputs, of course to the left. Then where should be summing points logically? Then the answer is summing points should be logically at left hand side, because it simplifies your block diagram, right? So if required, try to shift summing point to the left but takeoff point towards right. Why takeoff points towards right? Try to understand the purpose of takeoff point. The purpose of takeoff point is to take a feedback, and to take the feedback, you take the feedback from output, and where output resides? Again, output resides to the right hand side, and therefore we try to shift takeoff point to the right. Then step number 5, repeat the above steps so as to reduce the whole block diagram till you get a single block, right? Because in block diagram reduction, what you have to do, you have a block diagram where the multiple blocks you will see along with multiple summing point, along with multiple takeoff points, and then you have to apply all block diagram reduction rules that you have studied so far. You have to follow this procedure till you get a single block. So we have to actually repeat it till you get a block like this. what you write inside this is nothing but the overall transfer function that you get, and again it may vary from problem to problem. So I'm sure now you have understood what is a block diagram reduction, how we do block diagram reduction by following rules, and this is the procedure. Thank you.